All In Sports Network. We love sports.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It's Thursday. Usually on Thursdays, we do a Mizzou football preview. But Missouri this week is not playing a game. They're going up against the bye. Let's see if they can make it out alive in this bye week. But Missouri not playing anybody. So I figured we could just talk about random things, the coaching carousel, some big games in the SEC. I'll give my picks. As you can see back there, I got my picks ready to go. Won't spoil it, though. And maybe some other things if I feel like it. If we have time at the end, I'll talk. But this is All In Mizzou, where we talk Mizzou every day, except for today. We're not going to talk. I guess we'll talk a little bit Mizzou. We'll start with the coaching carousel. And I don't want to beat this thing to death because it's in the middle of the season, and most likely none of this is going to be resolved until the playoffs start, basically, is when some of these are going to start coming down, because the teams that don't make the playoffs, the coaches that don't make the playoffs are going to have the opportunity to leave. That's more realistic than a playoff coach leaving. And even then, some of these bigger jobs, like if an LSU is going to go for Lane Kiffin, it might take a long time, a lot of waiting, because he is, in all likelihood, Ole Miss is going to go to the playoffs unless they really screw something up down the stretch. But if you look at their schedule, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss have just one loss right now. They're 7-1. A close loss to Georgia on the road. The rest of the year, they have South Carolina. They have the Citadel, which is where is the Citadel? Does anybody know where the Citadel is? I'm going to look this up. Is it a South Carolina school? Is that why they're doing it? No, it is. It is, I think. Yeah, Military College of South Carolina. Okay. They're playing the Citadel, and, I mean, that should be about as easy as a win as you can find. And then they, after the Citadel, they host Florida. So they're home for South Carolina, the Citadel in Florida. And then the last game of the year is the Egg Bowl. They go to Starkville to play Mississippi State, which honestly is probably the toughest game left on the schedule. And Mississippi State doesn't have an SEC win yet. So that should tell you about that. So basically all that to say, I think Lane, it's going to be weird because he's obviously the number one candidate for a couple of these jobs. Like, it's the home run hire for LSU, for Florida. He probably won't go to Florida, though. I think that's not going to happen. But LSU, if he wants to go to LSU, then it might take a while. And by the way, yesterday's episode of the defensive rewatch episode, I took it down because apparently my audio wasn't working. And I didn't realize that until a few hours after. So I don't know what happened. This mic sometimes just gives out on me, I think. I mean, who knows? God only knows. But anyway, that's the deal with why you can't find the defense episode. Back to the coaching stuff, though. It's dumb to talk about this too much during the season because just not a ton. There's not a ton that's going to happen in the next couple weeks, at least. Like, Arkansas season will be over in 4 weeks. Florida season will be over in 4 weeks. But the coaches they want to hire, like, I guess SMU's Rhett Lashley isn't going to make the playoffs anymore. But, even if the team season is over, that doesn't mean that the hire can be made right away. You have to still, you still have to wait out some of these other coaches who are coaching in the playoffs or a bowl game. So all that to say is that this is going to take a while, but I thought I would at least look at it because we have time to do it this week. We have time to kind of talk about this. I've been seeing it all over Twitter. these new betting odds for head coach openings, and I don't think these are real. I mean, obviously they're real. You can go bet on this on Bet Online, but this isn't a sports book. I think that is super notable. So I don't think they're probably plugged in. I think these are mostly just as good of a guess as you can get. But there's odds out for all three SEC head coach openings, and I was listening to that SEC podcast yesterday, and they did this, and I was listening, and I thought, man, this is sort of interesting. I looked into it. And they said this, the guys on the podcast were like, I don't think this means much, but it's just something. It's kind of a way to get an idea, because these are probably pretty intelligent guesses. It's just they don't know enough. Like, a book like FanDuel or DraftKings probably would be more in the know, but they don't even have these odds up, which probably is a good way to tell that there's not that much information out there. But I will go through these just for fun, because it gives us something to talk about. And LSU, we'll start with them. John Sumrall from Tulane is the favorite, 3-2 odds. John Sumrall would be an awesome hire for anybody, really. I wonder if LSU fans would be disappointed in that, just because it's not a Lane Kiffin. It's not a big household Power 4 name, but this guy's a great coach. Really, he is. He was at Troy. He won the Sun Belt Conference twice at Troy in 2022 and 2023. And then when Willie Fritz left Tulane to go to Houston, he took over the Green Wave and went 9-5 last year, was second in the AAC. And this year he's off to a 6-1 start, 3-0 in the conference. So probably on his way to a chance to win the conference, and maybe getting into the playoff. I don't know. There's definitely a chance. Actually, let's look at Tulane. I'm getting off track, but today I can afford to get off track. We don't really have a plan today. The one loss was to Ole Miss, 45-10. They play UTSA this week. You got Memphis on the November 7th. That'll be a big game, because the winner of that probably will have a pretty decent chance at getting into the playoff, I think. Or no, that's no. AAC isn't Group of 5. Well, yeah, it is. I don't know. I can't really remember how all this works. Here we go on another tangent. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so Tulane is in, sorry, I'm almost done here, the AAC. Does the AAC get an automatic bid? I don't know the answer to this. No, I don't think so, because I think that would count as the Group of 5 team. So yeah, this Memphis Tulane game in a couple of weeks could be a big indicator of who gets the Group of 5 bid. But nonetheless, John Summerall having a good year. I think he'd be a great hire for anybody. He's a Kentucky alum. He played at Kentucky, and I think there was some thought that maybe Kentucky would go get him, but I think it's too late for them. I don't think, even though he's an alumni, I'm not sure he would want to choose Kentucky over Florida or LSU or even Arkansas. He'll be a sought-after guy, and yeah, we'll see. It would be a 180 turn from what LSU did last time, going to get Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. This would be, a little different, and I think maybe that would be good for them to be a little bit different. My camera's moving with me here. Let me do that. Okay. We're still moving. Hold on. There we go. So he's at 3-2 odds. We went off on a tangent there. 2-1 odds is Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He was the OC for LSU in 2019. Could be interesting. Obviously, a really good offensive coach. Lane Kiffin is third at 4-1 odds. James Franklin 6-1 odds. Eli Drinkwitz 8-1 odds. Jeff Brom 12-1 odds. Some other fun names: Jimbo Fisher 18-1. That would be crazy. I think Louisiana would revolt. Clark Lee 20-1. Nick Saban 75-1, all the way at the bottom. Again, these odds really don't mean much. I don't think it's just an educated guess. Here's where things get a little interesting. When we move on to the Florida odds, the odds to be the next Florida head coach. This is where, there's some I've seen it on Mizzou Twitter. There's people a little worried. The number one odds to be the Florida head coach. And this person has minus odds. So, like all of the Florida head coach or LSU head coaches we just mentioned, the candidates all had positive odds: 3-2, 2-1, 4-1. I just spoiled it. But Eli Drinkwitz is the favorite, according to this book, which probably doesn't know much, but he is the favorite to be the next Florida head coach. Negative or minus 105 odds. So that means you'd have to bet $10 or let's say you have to bet $105 to win $100. And he is the only negative odds candidate on all three of these lists: on the Arkansas candidate list, on the Florida candidate list, and on the LSU candidate list. Now let's talk about this. Eli Drinkwitz to Florida. Could it happen? Yes, it could happen. But in this day and age, let's just think about this. How much? Well, here's the deal. If Drinkwitz leaves for Florida, what that tells me is that he does not believe he can win here anymore. He doesn't believe he can win a national championship here or the SEC here. It would say to me that he thinks the ceiling is higher at Florida. And that is probably true. The ceiling might be higher at Florida. But the base, the median at Mizzou and Florida, I don't know how different it is. Missouri will keep Drinkwitz as long as he keeps doing what he's doing right now. 10-win seasons, winning bowl games. He's got a Cotton Bowl. He's won two. Missouri has two straight 10-win seasons. Beat Iowa last year in the Music City Bowl. This year he's 6-2 on his way to. I'm sure they're going. I mean, it's definitely a little murky now what the rest of the season is going to be like. Without your quarterback and the offense kind of sputtering a little bit, but there's a chance that this team gets 9 wins, goes to bowl wins, and gets another 10-win season, I think. If he just does that, if he keeps doing this forever, Missouri will keep him here forever. Because when he took over Missouri, you think about where this program was. I mean, I'll go look through this with you. Let me type it. Let me do my typing here. Hold on. Excuse me. All right. So before Drinkwitz, it was Barry Odom. Barry Odom's best year, he went 8-5. And the year before, the year he was fired, he went 6-6. Before that, it was Gary Pinkel. Pinkel was here forever, and Pinkel was always pretty good. But here's what I'm saying is the program was in the gutters with Barry Odom. It wasn't anything what it is now. It was kind of a doormat for the rest of the SEC. Now Drinkwitz immediately comes in, goes 5-5 after the COVID year, 2 straight 6-7 seasons. Thank God my 10-year-old brother didn't hear that. He doesn't listen to the show, or else he'd love that. And then he goes 11-2, 10-3. He's off to 6-2 start this year. If he does that for the next 10 years, Drinkwitz, and he wants to stay in Missouri, will want him to stay. Now, if you go to Florida and you win, if you go 10-3 and you go 10-3 a bunch at Florida, they probably love that. They probably would like to keep you around and everything. But if you're not winning, after a while, if he's not going to win an SEC championship or make a run in the playoffs, I'm not sure how the people there would react. I think the pressure is more at Florida. The expectations are more at Florida. At Missouri, it seems like to me he has a lot of people who are helping him out financially with the program. Like the NIL situation at Missouri is a lot better than you'd probably think. Like he's got everything he needs there. But if he really wants to go and try to win a national championship, maybe he thinks Florida is the better place to do that. I don't know. After seeing what happened here with Billy Napier, and before that, Dan Mullen, like these two coaches came in. Billy Napier came in as the hottest Group of Five coaching name in the country by far. Everybody wanted him. There were a lot of people trying to hire him. He was great at Louisiana, and he gets here and it just never works out. Dan Mullen, if you talk about Dan Mullen, before Florida, he was at Mississippi State, and he got things going at Mississippi State in that kind of Dak Prescott era. I mean, he had a season where they won 10 games. He had a 9-win season, 2 9-win seasons. You know, he just always kind of that was a good program. They were number one in the AP poll at one point that year, or in 2014. So he gets to Florida, wins immediately, 10 wins, 11 wins. Then it gets worse and worse. He gets 8 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins, or 8 wins, 5 wins. Then he's fired. And now he's at UNLV and they're 6-1. So it seems to me like at Florida, there's something that, whether it's with the athletic department that just isn't quite clicking. If you look at the past, these seemingly good coaches haven't had success at Florida. If you're Drinkwitz, maybe you can say, I think I'm better than Dan Mullen, which he absolutely would tell you that, I bet. I mean, you'll remember the fun Mizzou, Florida kind of drama with the lightsaber and the Darth Vader, the press conference shenanigans that he had after beating Florida and Dan Mullen. He would definitely tell you he's better than Dan Mullen. I don't know. I bet he thinks he's better than Billy Napier. So maybe he says, I can get more out of this. I'm a better recruiter. Recruiting Florida. He already recruits Florida fairly well for being the coach of Missouri. Say, hey, I'm a good recruiter. I feel like I can go do this. I already really do well in the transfer portal. Imagine giving me Florida resources. Now, how much more resources does Florida have? I don't know. It's all a question on how he perceives the job. Now, I think like you're starting to see guys get contract extensions to stay. Like Curt Cignetti got a big one. He was immediately, the Indiana coach, Curt Cignetti, was immediately linked to the Penn State job, but they gave him an extension. I saw a rumor today that Matt Rule was going to get an extension from Nebraska. I don't know if that was real. I can look it up. I don't know if that's the case, but it's an account that I can't tell if it's real. But it would be interesting to see, Drinkwitz sign an extension here. That basically says I'm staying. He hasn't done that yet, and I'm sure he's probably going to wait on that because you can really drive up your price if you start interviewing with Florida and LSU. And so I don't know. It's interesting. I think that if I were him, I think I would stay at Missouri because he's built this thing up. And in 5 years, they've gone from a 5-win team or a 500 team the last year of, excuse me, the last year of the previous regime, the first year of his regime, both 500. And now they're winning 10 games. So imagine what could another 3 or 4 years do? Do you feel like the ceiling is yet to be reached at Missouri football? That's all up to him. That's how he feels. No one probably knows that better than him. But looking at the outlook of this team, you have Hardy back next year. You have, really promising young quarterback in Matt Zollers. You have Bo Prabula probably coming back. So there's 2 quarterback options next year. You got some young guys at Lubide and Josiah Trotter. I don't know. I think do you look at this and say, Florida has talent. Like that's the thing. If you go to Florida and you can retain the talent, you're going to meet, and it's a good coach that can do it. I think you're immediately going to be seeing a much improved Florida team. Like according to the 247 Sports College Football Team Talent Composite, which basically calculates who has the most talent based on recruiting and transfer portal guys and whatever. Florida is 12th nationally. I think they're 6th in the SEC, maybe. Missouri is 22nd nationally. That's the thing. I don't know. I think it just depends. Like, do you think the ceiling is higher for talent? Because talent is, coaching's great, but talent, you got to have talent to really succeed in the SEC. Missouri has talent, but does Drinkwitz think, hey, maybe I can get more talent at Florida? I don't know. It's really just depends on how he sees this job, both Florida and Missouri. I think I would stay at Missouri and wait. And, Florida's not, Florida as a program, I think has really not been much of anything in the last decade. I think they might be a little bit overrated right now. Missouri has been a more successful program than Florida in the last 3 or 4 years. Not even a question. So we'll see. It's interesting. Again, I wouldn't read too much into these betting odds I'm reading off to you, but it's something to think about. And it's something I can talk about because I have nothing else to talk about today. But I'm sure, he's focused on Texas A&M right now, I'm sure. The Florida fans, I think, they have been throwing a fit over this exact betting odds list. The Florida fans are like, let's sign a petition not to have Drinkwitz. I think that's kind of crazy, but hey, we'll keep him. We'll keep him. James Franklin, number 2 odds for Florida's next head coach at 2-1. Sorry, 1 second. Just sending a text message, an important text message. All right. Lane Kiffin, number 3, Florida odds. Again, I don't think he'll take the Florida job. If he leaves, it'll be for LSU. But I really don't know if he'll leave. Ole Miss. It's a similar deal. Like Ole Miss, obviously, LSU is a bigger program than Ole Miss. It's more historic program. It's all these things. Just like Florida is a historically bigger program than Missouri. Like right now, you'd probably say, yeah, I'd rather have the LSU job than Ole Miss. I'd rather have the Florida job than Missouri. But Why? Can you tell me why? Because both Missouri and Ole Miss have been winning. Lane Kiffin and Eli Drinkwitz are getting most of what they want money-wise for boosters and NIL and everything at their respective current schools. I don't know. Can you tell me exactly why, other than the historic factor, the brand factor, why do you think it would be better for Lane Kiffin to take the LSU job right now when he's winning at Ole Miss, when he's about to go to the playoff and probably make a national, has a chance to make a national championship run? I don't know. It's an interesting thing in this new era of NIL and transfer portal. So much can happen. It's certainly leveling the playing field a lot. That's all I'll say. Arkansas odds to be the next head coach. Rhett Lashley, number 1 at 3-1 odds, the SMU coach. This wouldn't shock me. It makes sense. Rhett Lashley played at Arkansas. I think he'd be a really, really good hire for them. And SMU just lost to Wake Forest. So maybe there's they're 5-3. They're not making the playoff. They have Miami this week. Maybe there's something to this. Like, okay, Arkansas is SEC. If I'm Rhett Lashley, I'm like, I'd do that. We'll see though. Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, 4-1 odds. Bobby Petrino, 5-1 odds. Brian Kelly, 6-1 odds. Would be good. John Summerall, 6-1 odds. I don't think. He's going to if he wants to leave Tulane, he's going to take one of Florida or LSU before he takes Arkansas. But I think Rhett Lashley would be a great hire. I think they should do that if they can do it. All right, let's move on. Enough coach talk. That was a lot of coach talk, but again, it's just something to think about here, the new kind of era of college football. Let's take a look at what's going on in the SEC this week. We have number 9 Vanderbilt going to Texas, number 20 Texas, and there's a question mark there. Will Arch be healthy? We'll see. Number 5 Georgia going to Florida, Mississippi State at Arkansas. Someone is getting their first SEC win on Saturday in Fayetteville. Who will it be? South Carolina at number 7 Ole Miss, number 18 Oklahoma at number 14 Tennessee. That'll be a great game. Kentucky at Auburn. I picked out a couple of these to talk about, my favorite games of these. Vanderbilt at Texas. These are 2 good defenses. Vanderbilt's offense, I think, has looked better than Texas. But now last week it didn't. Vanderbilt's offense was shut down by Missouri. There's a blueprint. Texas's defense, statistically, talent-wise, all that, is better than Missouri's. Well, maybe not statistically, actually. Let me see. Total defense. Let's see this. Yeah, statistically, actually, Missouri's defense is better. But talent-wise, you probably have more talent on the Texas side of things. There's a blueprint now how to stop this Vanderbilt team. I think Texas defense can absolutely do it. Just depends on, is Arch going to play? I don't know. He's in concussion protocol. He's questionable. Their backup quarterback, Matthew Caldwell, came in and won the game for them last week through one pass. It was a touchdown in overtime against Mississippi State. So there you go. He he was at Troy last year. Threw for 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. If Arch doesn't go, I don't know. I think it's more difficult for Texas, but it's not like Arch has been giving you a ton, So we'll see. I think this is one of my picks for later, so you'll see what I think about it, but that'll be a good game. Mississippi State and Arkansas. This will just be fun because someone has to win. Both these teams have been trying its hardest, both to win and to not win. Both of these teams could have 2 or 3 SEC wins by now if they just finished games. Neither of them do. Both of them have 0 SEC wins. So someone's going to have to, if this game could, if it was college or if it was 1940, I'm sure this game would end in a tie. I think there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. It comes down to which offense makes the least mistakes. I have that on the board, so I'll talk about that in a second. Oklahoma and Tennessee, another very good game. Josh Heupel, a reunion here with Oklahoma. He used to be he was a quarterback for Oklahoma back in the early 2000s. This is Oklahoma's offense's chance to get going. I mean, you had everybody talking about, oh yeah, this offense is back. Oklahoma's offense is back. We've got John Mateer in there, and he's playing really well, and he is playing really well. But then he gets hurt, and things kind of slow down a little bit. His numbers don't look as great as they once did. But this is your chance against this Tennessee defense that has really haven't had a hard time stopping anybody. I mean, statistically, one of the worst when it comes to yards allowed per game, towards the bottom of the country. So this is your chance, Oklahoma offense, John Mateer and all those guys. Get something going here against Tennessee, because you're going to have to, because Tennessee's offense, on the other hand, they don't have a good defense, but they sure have a good offense. They're third best offensively in yards per game, 510 yards per game. The Oklahoma versus Tennessee battle, Oklahoma defense versus Tennessee offense battle, will be interesting. It'll determine the game. Which of these dominant units can be more dominant? I'm excited. This is not a must-win for Oklahoma by any means. I'm not going to go there. But it does start a tough stretch for Oklahoma. And if they want to make a playoff game, hey, they already have 2 losses. You can't lose 3 games and go to the playoff in all likelihood. You have at Tennessee this week, Alabama at Alabama, the game after that. Then they go to Missouri, which, even if Bo is out, which it looks like he will be, Drew Pine beat Oklahoma last year. So anything can happen. Zollers will have a couple of games under his belt at that point. I think that'll be a tough game for Oklahoma. And then they finish hosting LSU. By the way, that game with Missouri is in Norman. They host LSU to finish out. On paper, that was a much tougher game a couple months ago. But still, it will be a challenging game. That's still a talented roster and everything. And, hey, there's a chance LSU might be playing for a bowl game. Is that crazy? No, probably not. I mean, they have a couple more wins in their back pocket here. They play Arkansas. They host Arkansas. They host Western Kentucky. So probably not. But LSU still has something to play for here. That could be a tough game. So Oklahoma, this would be a big one to pick up on the road to ensure that a playoff spot is still in the picture. All right, let's get to picks. Let's get my whiteboard out. Like my stroke shirt, everybody. Pretty sweet. It's kind of like Star Wars font. Thought it was cool. Here we go. Bring this on around. God, to tip it over. Hold on, we got a rug. We got a rug holding us up here. Jeez. Okay. All right. Here are my picks. I'll give you my stats too. There are my stats up here. It's 2-2 last week. That's okay. Since I've started this, I'm 6-2 over 2 weeks. Went 4-0 my first week, so I'm hot. So listen to me. My first pick, number 9, Vanderbilt at number 20, Texas. I think Texas not only wins, but I think Texas covers the 2.5 points in Austin. I think Vanderbilt is going to struggle against this Texas defense, and I feel like Arch will play, and we'll see. But I do think that Vanderbilt will lose another game in the regular season. Still think they're a good shot for the playoffs, but this is a tough game. People, Texas isn't that good, I don't think, but it's tough to play in Austin, and I think Vanderbilt might be becoming just maybe a little bit overrated. I hate to say that because I like Vanderbilt, but I think this is a spot where Texas can get a nice win and maybe get some momentum going. That's my pick, at least. I don't feel great about it, but we'll see. Georgia, number 5, Georgia versus Florida. This is in Jacksonville, neutral site game for the rivalry. I got Georgia covering 7.5 points. They're just a better team than Florida. Maybe if this was at the Swamp, maybe it's a little tougher, but I think Georgia gets it done. Number 18, Oklahoma versus number 14, Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have Tennessee covering -3.5. And lastly, Mississippi State at Arkansas. Mississippi State, a 4.5-point underdog. Give me that. Give me the points, Mississippi State to cover. And my upset money line pick, Mississippi State money line, +150. I've advised people here to bet on Arkansas for 2 straight weeks. I had them in my one of my 4 picks last week to cover against Auburn, and then the week before that, I had them as my upset money line pick. Neither hit. I'm taking Mississippi State. I'm tired of losing money on Arkansas. Mississippi State will cover and maybe win in Fayetteville. We'll see. That's what I have for the picks. Let's get that out of here. Get that out of here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Hey, that was a good episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Tomorrow, I'll try to get a guest on. We'll go back to talking Missouri football. We'll see. But thanks for coming. Hopefully the audio is all good today. Thanks to James for letting me know that the audio was broken. I was trying to fix it as he texted me. And so thank you, James. I think that's maybe all I have. Oh, there's one more thing, actually. A little Missouri basketball news. Well, first of all, hey, Missouri won a basketball exhibition. This is what I should have been talking about. Sometimes I forget that we can talk basketball in here. Let me try to pull up the stats to this. Yeah, here we go. Missouri won this game 100-19 in Columbia. Let's see. We got 4 Tigers scored in double figures. Junior Anthony Robinson II might be my favorite player on this Missouri team. He scored 16 points, 6 for 6 from the field, 4 assists. Jaden Stone, the transfer, 16 points. Sean Phillips Jr., the Arizona State transfer, 14 points, 10 rebounds. Anar Boateng, 15 points. It would be awesome if he could take a step because he's a talented guy. 6 rebounds for him as well. Hey, good job, Missouri. Missouri basketball. Don't look now, man, but college basketball season is coming up next week. That's right, next week. Next Monday, Missouri plays its first game of the season in Washington, D.C. They take on the Howard Bison at 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Wow. Man, basketball season's here. It's time for me to start talking basketball. I've been college basketball. There's nothing better except maybe college football than college basketball. So, golly, am I pumped. They play 2 games next week. Their home opener is Friday, November 7th in Mizzou Arena against SEMO, Southeast Missouri. Wow. That's awesome. Anyway, that's great. I mean, it crept up on me a little bit, but that's awesome, man. The basketball news I was thinking was more recruiting based. I think Tristan Reed. We mentioned Tristan Reed on some podcasts with James. He's kind of the only other prospect Missouri is in on. Missouri, by the way, you'll remember, has the number 1 class in the country, or number 2 now, according to 247. Tristan Reed's the last guy they would take, and if they don't get him, I don't think they would take anyone else. But 6'9", plays at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri. According to 247, he's the 69th best player in the class, 80th best player in the class, according to the composite ranking, which means all 4 major recruiting. I guess it's all 3 major recruiting sites now because On3 and Rivals combined. So I guess it's ESPN, On3 /Rivals, and 247. You combine all the rankings. That's what That's how you get the 247 Sports composite. Tristan Reed, though, is announcing his decision on November 1st. That will be Saturday. He's announcing in St. Louis at 4 o'clock. It'll be streamed on YouTube on 3 Sports with Joe Tipton. And the live stream begins at 4:30. I guess his decision will take place closer to 4:30 than 4, but he's deciding between, he's got a top 5 of Ohio State, Missouri, Michigan State, Mississippi State, and Maryland. So I don't know. I think it's been long believed that Missouri is very much in the mix here, maybe the leader. I think I heard Maryland was in there. I don't remember. I read something about this recently, but yeah, be on the lookout for that, because that would be another big get for this Missouri. Another great get for this Missouri recruiting class and Eli Drinkwitz. Anyway, I'll let you guys go now. Oh, it looks like someone on the Maryland side is saying they don't expect Maryland. I think Mississippi State is pretty involved. It could be something to watch. Yeah, we'll see. That's all I have. I don't have any insight on where he's going, unfortunately, but could be fun. Maybe if he commits, we'll have James back on. Anyway, that's all I have. I've been rambling on now for way too long. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thanks for joining me here with Rogue Media, all in Mizzou, Mizzou every day. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully I can find a guest that wants to talk to me, but we'll see. MIZ, have a great Thursday. Have a great Halloween coming up too. All right, that's it. See ya.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.